Okay, now we're going to talk about I. So we've talked about some interesting numbers all the way through.
Yeah.
We talked about a number that satisfied x plus 1 equals 0. What number was that?
That was -1.
We talked about a number that satisfied x squared minus 2 equals 0.
That was square root of 2.
That was square root of 2. We still have an interesting little problem that this very simple equation, x squared plus 1 equals 0,
Yeah.
doesn't seem to have any solutions.
What about I?
So we just name the solution, one solution of this equation, I. Just call it I.
Yeah.
And this was, I think, in the 1500s. People started trying to understand this. And people had a hard time, just like they had a hard time understanding 0, had a hard time understanding -1, had a hard time understanding the square root of 2, had a hard time understanding pi and e.
And
They had a
then
hard time understanding I. What did it mean? But something amazing happened. Something really amazing happened. I seemed to solve all kinds of problems.
wow.
Okay? And it had some amazing properties. Euler connected all these numbers we've been talking about, or not all, most of the numbers we've been talking about, with this famous equation, e to the pi times I plus 1 equals 0, where you have these 5 super famous numbers in math all in one equation.
Yeah. Whoa.
Last week you and I proved that I to the I-th power is e to the minus pi over 2, so there's another interesting connection.
Ooh, cool.
Cool.
But
But then Gauss came along and proved that any polynomial, no matter what it is, let's just say it starts like x to the 10th plus 7x to the 9th plus dot 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 plus 24 equals 0. Any polynomial has the number of solutions equal to its highest power,
ooh, cool.
as long as you can have solutions that use I.
Wow.
And that meant that you could solve, just by introducing I, you could solve, well, sorry, you couldn't necessarily solve them, but you knew the solutions to any equation were
Wow.
around. So in other words, to solve x cubed plus 1 equals 0, we didn't need to introduce a new number. I took care of it.
Wow.
Okay, I think the solutions to this are -1, because -1 cubed
Is
plus 1
yeah.
does equal 0. And
Well, I know.
1/2 plus I times the square root of 3 over 2, actually plus or minus. I think those are the solutions. So I, as long as you have an I, you can solve this.
Yeah.
Okay, and so it does seem like we just make it up. We say, hey,
Yeah.
here's I.
Yeah.
And it solves this equation, let's see what happens. But it turns out, almost miraculously, I works. And you can use it to solve all these complicated equations. And it's sort of completes the numbers that are important. Now there's other kinds of numbers, and I even hinted at things like where you can have a times b equals 0, where neither one of them are 0.
Yeah.
That comes later on.
Hmm.
And I comes up so you think it's imaginary, maybe it's got a bad name, but it comes up all the time in physics. And sometimes physicists like to get confusing, and you know what sometimes physicists call I?
What?
J.
J.
I don't know why they do that.
Me neither.
And it comes up when you're studying how electricity works. It comes up when you're studying quantum mechanics. All sorts of really fun stuff.
Ooh.
And so Gauss proved this theorem called the fundamental theorem of algebra. Euler proved that really interesting equation, e to the pi plus 1 equals 0.
Yeah. And they all have I in them.
Yeah, they all have I in them. And then there's more general stuff, but the most amazing thing is that this basically covers everything we need to talk about.
Yeah.
And they found this, or people started studying this 500 years ago, so by now, when you see I, should you be scared?
No.
Should you say, I am scared?
No.
No. Should you say, I is scary?
No.
Should you say, he is scary?
No.
No. Should you say oranges are scary?
No.
No. Okay, so that's I. And that's sort of why, how this all came to be, why mathematicians think this is important. And all the build up to this is kind of why your algebra books are so thick. And then when you go and you take classes in college, the book gets a little bit thinner,
Yeah.
and they can explain the structure of all of this and why it all works.
Cool.
Pretty neat, right?
Yep. Yeah.
All right, that's what I wanted to talk about today, guys. Good job. Good job. Was that fun?
Yep. Yeah.